We're live here, and yeah, it looks like the sound is working. Okay, I guess I'll say what I have to say, and then if anyone notices I've gone live and pops in the chat, then maybe I can answer questions. But uh, the full text of the Open Game License 1.1 has been released or leaked out into the public. I don't know if this is the final version that Wizards of the Coast plans to put out there or what exactly this is, but I had a look and there was a bit that was relating to the Playgrounds video I posted earlier today. So let me read that bit. Okay. Quote: We know this may come off strong, but this is important. If you attempt to use the OGL as a basis to release blatantly racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, bigoted, or otherwise discriminatory content, or do anything we think triggers these provisions, your content is no longer licensed. To be clear, we want to and will always support creators who are using the OGL to help them explore sensitive subjects in a positive manner, but we will not tolerate materials we consider to be in any way counter to the spirit of D&D. Additionally, you waive any right to sue us you waive any right to sue over our decision on these issues. We're aware that if we somehow stretch our decision of what is or is not objectionable under these clauses too far, we will receive community pushback and bad PR, and we're more than open to being convinced that we made a wrong decision. But nobody gets to use the threat of a lawsuit as part of an attempt to convince us. Now, uh, so earlier today, I talked about one website that claimed that cultural tourism was some bad racist thing, that having defined characteristics for different races in Dungeons and Dragons was bioessentialism and racist. Recently, the design mechanism had a kerfluffle over Mythic Polynesia, I think was the name of the book, where people say they got things wrong and that it was a horribly racist book. And I swear I saw this, I think on RPG.net. Somebody claimed that just because they did research, that doesn't mean anything. That research has a colonialist past. I mean, okay. So the point is, there are and as far as Mythic Polynesia, there were people making noises that the company must account for what they've done. People were talking about going to Drive Through RPG to have the book taken down. And I haven't read that book, so I can't judge, but who at Wizards of the Coast is going to decide what's racist? Are they talking about actual Nazis? Or are they talking about, oh, all your orcs are evil and your dwarfs get a +1 constitution and a -1 charisma? I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but the people who say these things are real world racist are out there. And so whose definition is used? And if someone just decides that, oh, all your orcs are evil, or for example, I've seen, people talking about Avatar 2, biggest movie on the planet right now, about how that's racist because they're portraying indigenous people in a certain way. And again, who decides what things are racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic? Are they based on what? All you need is to have one nutcase in charge of that over at Wizards of the Coast, and you know you can either have a thing where the clause is ignored entirely or selectively enforced, or having specific definitions of these things that are not commonly used. And then they just decide unilaterally that you're no longer licensed. And it's like, okay, I don't know why anyone would agree to this, because clearly, clearly, the definitions on these things move, and something happens in the real world to inflame passions, and somebody's not on board. Well, what if there's nothing in the book, but somebody is deemed unfit or outside of what is acceptable in the community in their private life or their social media statements? Do they get to come after the book under these clauses? Or because it's the one thing that is here in this text, whether it's in the final text or if this is the final text, I don't know yet. But we will not tolerate materials we consider to be in any way counter to the spirit of D&D. So, who determines what the spirit of D&D is? Well, it's going to be whatever they want, yes? And who gets to decide what's counter to the spirit? So, this is basically a morals clause that doesn't define anything, and that sentence, "We will not tolerate materials we consider to be in any way counter to the spirit of D&D," is, yeah, good luck, everyone. That's all, and then they can decide your content is no longer licensed, so what does that mean? If you've just printed a bunch of books, do you have to destroy them? And then if they discover that they've stretched their decision of what is or what is not objectionable, and community pushback and bad PR makes them go, "Oh, sorry, our bad, it was fine," and you've already pulped the books you printed, sorry, you're just out that money. Can't do anything. Can't sue them. It's right here in the contract. And I don't know. I don't know. This clause without any actual definitions for these things, because these definitions change constantly. Uh, don't like it. Don't like it. Don't like it. Not going to sign up for it. Definitely not, since we're accused at one point or another of being all these friggin' things. I mean, say you're the role playing Quentin Tarantino and you're making a Django Unchained, or you're making your version of Inglorious Bastards. Does that trip this clause, or does this only trip this clause if you somehow all, just depending on the publicity? There's no standard here. So, yeah. As far as continuing to publish under the original open game license, uh well, it's easy to say until the lawyers come knocking on your door, but I think it is completely ridiculous that this company, Wizards of the Coast, can attempt to erase or force to update 23 years of this industry's output. And not only in the D&D space, there were a number of non-Dungeons and Dragons based games that used the open license to allow people to use their stuff, because the people in charge of Wizards of the Coast at the time said this is intended that if we change the license, you can still use the old license. It was in Wizards of the Coast frequently asked questions that they said, yeah, if we do some other license and you don't like it, keep using this old one. And now they're saying no. Well, sorry, you don't get to do that. You don't. And So this may get messy depending on if they give a shit about the actual small publishers, especially since elsewhere in the document that they were talking about, it was the open game license was originally only intended for books, since the whole market of everything internet related was non-existent yet in the year 2000. It's like, okay, you want to up, yeah. So I have rule books with the OGL with alternate covers already at the printer now, and they're not going to tell me to not sell them when they're delivered. You don't get to do that. I'm not, so I may be buried and dead under legal fees in a, matter of whatever, but whatever they're going to do to me, they're going to have to do to me. I'm not just going to surrender. So, uh as far as yeah. So that's that. We do have people that have shown up in the chat, and I've been rambling. La da 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 da. Okay, do you have to use the OGL moving forward? Okay, I only use the open game license for the actual rule book. I don't have the OGL in pretty much anything else. Some of the adventures originally on their first versions, but not now. So nothing but the rule book is even in play as far as any of this goes. I may be forgetting something somewhere, but essentially, there are very few books are going to be affected by OGL shenanigans. Uh, but the rule book, the way that was pieced together, the things I wanted to change or the things that I wanted to make more interesting, that is original writing. But people talk about how I rewrote the spells to make them more interesting, but I didn't for the vast majority of them. That's straight out of somebody else's, open game content. You know, so much of the bog standard, yeah, this is the game stuff, is straight out of someone else's open game content. So, yeah, so it would be a complete rewrite. And even then, under copyright law, I mean, how much do you have to change? Do you have to change all the ability score names and not say hit points? It's like, at what point does it become a sufficiently altered work if you're not using the open game content to use the allowed terms? So, yeah. Yeah, so I just did a big print run of the rule book, the usual edition last year, and I just, yeah, as I said, have alternate cover versions that hopefully the collectors and people who want gifts for their players will want to buy late this month, early next month. Um, yeah. So another question. I'm publishing an LOTFP compatible adventure. Do I need to use OGL inside of it or only the LOTFP license? Well, if you're wanting to, declare LOTFP compatibility, then it's just the LOTFP license. Whether or not you use the OGL depends on whether you're wanting to use, open game content text verbatim. I mean, I don't use the OGL in the adventures I publish, so unless there's something that you're going to want to extensively, well, I this is not official legal advice. I can only tell you what I'll do concerning the LOTFP license. This is just my completely uninformed opinion. Official opinion is really see a lawyer, but my opinion is that if you're not copying text, then you don't need it. So, yeah. The description of this video contains no links on where to support your work. Where's the best to go for PDFs and prints? Well, this was a rather impromptu get online and start talking about this stuff. Yeah, well, go to lotfp.com, and that'll have links to both the EU and US LOTFP web stores. There's also a link to the PDF store, which is Drive Through RPG. So, yeah, for physical, the best way to support LOTFP's work is to order direct from us and go to Drive Through for the PDFs. Um, let's see, I don't use anything except, for example, works like Cause Fear Spell. See, I wouldn't put the OGL in there just to use that, but again, that's I'm living on the edge, and how much of the edge you want to live on is on you. One moment here. Just telling somebody that I'm unable to chat because I am online with you YouTube people. Okay. So, I'll quote you in court. Well, thank you very much. Uh, okay. What's going on here? Oh, yeah, I'm really behind on my email. And were you ever a fan of Palladium RPGs? Yes, mainly Robotech and especially Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Would you consider republishing LOTFP with a new kind of rule set? The problem with doing that is that if it really is a completely new rule set, that makes all of the supplementary material not compatible with the rules. And I consider the rule book, honestly, to be the least important thing about Lamentations of the Flame Princess. That it's the adventures and all the supplements and stuff that's really where the game is. That's the rules are the least important part of a role playing game. Generally, I mean, I guess you can group different kinds of rules, but for me, yeah, Lamentations of the Flame Princess is the way it is because I started with Dungeons and Dragons, and even though I played all sorts of other games, I would always come back to D&D. That's the way of doing things that's native to me. If I'd started on Traveler, you know, LOTFP may very well be a space weird game, weird horror game. So, let's see. Let's be honest, your rule book is very good. Yes, many people tell me that, and the rule book is far and away the best-selling item in LOTFP's catalog. I guess that's normal for a role-playing company. But the fact that people like it is not a bad thing at all. I mean, there's a that was a fair amount of work going into the customizing it and the presentation and everything. So it's glad to see that the efforts paid off as far as people liking the result and being a good hook to hang everything else on for these past, what is it, 13 and a half years. Jesus. That's crazy. um okay, yeah, I'm real bad with email. I'm swamped right now with various stuff. Question: US store. Let's see. Eh, Nothing. Okay. I'll just say this: if it's not in the U.S. store right now, but it is in the EU store, it's not likely to be in the U.S. store anytime soon because they are separate stocks and separate warehouses. I say warehouses. This is, my living room is also a warehouse, although one of the bedrooms in this apartment is just filled with books and video equipment now. Um, let's see. Yeah. How do you come up with the encumbrance rules? Yeah. The whole counting. It was just a way of defeating the having to count the weight of every single piece of equipment you have. Just kind of like writing it in a slot and then erasing it as it's used up seemed so much easier without math and counting. and because who wants to do that during play, So that was, yeah. Great skill system for specialists. Well, it's not exactly, but it's basically AD&D Second Edition had the customizable thief skills, and so just doing a version of that where, because it made no sense to me, and whenever I'd play, I would, I like combat the least when playing because that's the thing that can take your character out of the game. So I would often play thieves, but I would insist in game they don't call you don't go up to yourself, "Hi, I'm Bob and I'm a thief. Can I adventure with you? Trust me, I'm a thief." Makes no sense. So I would always call myself a specialist. But it made no sense that, it early editions of D&D, it's like, "Oh, you're automatically pretty good at climbing and absolutely crap at everything else." So I think, okay, make it customizable. That you could have an entire party composed of specialists, and they'd all be completely different. So, uh, let's see. What is the estimated shipping to the US for one book? Okay, this is the absolute shit thing about international shipping. There's like a minimum cost. The cheapest right now is through DHL, and I think that's like 35, 36 euros, I think. And that's basically what it's going to cost to ship one book. But the thing is, because that's like a minimum threshold, depending on what the books are, if it's like adventure anthology blood, that's going to change things because it's such a thick book. But generally, three or four of most of the books, it's still the same shipping cost because of that minimum thing, and that sucks, and I hate it. But that's I can't control how much I'm charged for shipping. It's the new cover for the rule book by Yannick Bouchard. Okay, I'm taking a risk because of this whole deal of with the distributor problems that I described in the January 1st video, and the fact that I'd taken out a loan to do the last rule book printing. I'm taking a risk to hopefully get a bit caught up. There's going to be two alternate covers. One of them is by Yannick Bouchard. That's for sure. And yeah, and I'll leave the other one as a surprise. I think one of them, the Ali Hinala one. Well, I just said the name. I think I've never shown that one, but the one by Yannick Bouchard, that's going to be the same image that was used for the 2016 Gen Con catalog cover. The one with the flame princess in the sea of blood, and the bloody bodies and the robot tiger and shit. Hope you're doing better, Raji. Well, thank you. It's little by little, my main problem right now is my legs, and it seems to be random how much they hurt day to day. There have been days where I could walk for an hour and have absolutely no negative benefits, and then I took a train trip week before last, and just going up the stairs to the second floor of the train and then back down at the end of the trip, I was done. I couldn't stand up for the next 2 days. So that's yeah, as far as the mental health and everything, it's I'm enough of a screw up on my own, and making up for my own deficiencies is stressful enough. So, when things like the industry decides that maybe they want to wipe out your entire sector, maybe if that's what, who very helpful. uh New edition. Not really any new edition. Not anytime soon. I had 2018. I had some playtest rules included with the Eldritch Cock book that from Free RPG Day. I thought a lot of that was absolutely wonderful, especially the new saving throw system, which was actually more forgiving. Nobody liked any of it, so What are you gonna do? Hello, Mr. Campbell, the author. Courtney Campbell, the author of In a Deadly Fashion, is now in the chat. Do you have any Pilates or anything like that? Okay. The problem is with my legs. When they're healthy, or when they don't hurt, different from being healthy. I mean, I have exercises. I'm seeing a physical therapist that they've given me exercises that I do with my feet, and when my legs are feeling decent, I take walks when I can. But I haven't been getting down on the mat and doing anything. I have in years past done the DDP yoga, the DDPY, because that's like normal yoga just is just like what is this? But DDPY is like taking yoga moves but making a workout out of it. And as soon as I can soon as I can do stuff on my feet without worrying I'm going to collapse, I'll be back on that. Yeah. So quantum ogre in the house. We're old pricks. We don't like the rules to change. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest barrier to new games. I mean, sure you have your RPG lifers that live for trying new things and blah blah blah. I think most people just want to get to the freaking game. And having to learn a whole new set of everything is just like, oh my god, that's why I think the inertia of D&D is almost always just been supreme in whatever formulation, and I don't think that's an accident. And luckily I was part of that early wave in the 80s as a kid and got caught up in it and didn't get started on, because I remember playing a game in my high school years. There were a few friends of mine that went over to these older guys' place to play every week, and we had like a several month campaign of Justifiers. And I could just imagine if I was a total Justifiers freak, that I'd be absolutely nowhere, because that's a game almost nobody remembers and has no traction in the overall RPG culture. So it's kind of lucky I felt, because so I'm apparently so weird in my tastes of almost everything that I consider myself extremely fortunate that my preferred or my instinctive rule system for role playing seems to be something that has broader appeal. What I do with it, not so much, but the nuts and bolts, the fact that I seem to be on the same page with a great many people is a very happy accident. Okay. What's the weather in Helsinki in April? Not so much snow anymore on the ground. There still might be cold enough every now and then for a snow sprinkling, but the blizzards are over. Under normal circumstances, I'm a big guy, so my cold tolerance is going to be different. But in April, I'm generally just walking around in a hoodie, and I'm fine. So that's that. So it's after 10 p.m. here. I mean, I'm happy to stay on and answer questions if people have questions, but this isn't going to be one of these things where I stay here for 5 hours just because I got nothing else to do. So, uh, oh, there are 55 people watching. Ooh, well, thank you. I didn't even announce this. Uh, yeah, so people that came in late, once I shut the video down, go back and listen to the stuff at the beginning for what my actual point was. Yeah, we stumbled into your live video. Yes, well, it's just the thing. I met some friends downtown, and on the way home I was thinking, I'm they got something to say, but making a big produced video is just like, and it's attached, and it's related to the video I released earlier today. So it's like, oh, let's do a webcam thing. I don't, not, I mean, in some ways, taking a shirt off in front of a green screen that you don't use to key anything is its own little production thing. And for people wondering, I love pro wrestling, so being able to just get in front of the camera and do my pro wrestling promos and you know yeah, if I had a better body I'd show you more than just here up, but if I show more than that it's because I'm going for some comedic haha fat man effect, but uh it was nice nod when Grim Jim did the same thing. Yeah, maybe that'll be a thing. It'll be a commonplace thing that spreads throughout YouTube, and people wondering why are people just not wearing a shirt in front of an unkeyed green screen? Well, because it's a distinctive thing. I suppose I could have come up with a little cartoon avatar that talks like but nah. Oh God, oh God. Now people are asking wrestling questions, so we're gonna pare down the audience a bit. What do you think about Omega becoming US champ? I watched Wrestle Kingdom live. I don't like spectacle wrestling. Just today, I listened on YouTube Jim Cornette's review of the Omega Osprey match, and I pretty much agree with him. It was a lot. My favorite match, my favorite style of wrestling represented on the Wrestle Kingdom card was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ren Narita, and that match is up for free on the New Japan Pro Wrestling YouTube channel because all of the matches involving the New Japan World TV title they put on free on their social media. So I recommend anyone interested in wrestling take a look at that. But yeah, I still think you need somebody to give you some chops to really sell the wrestling promo angle. I'm trying. No, I promise you, I'm trying to get someone to give me chops. Let's see. What do you think about Vince coming back? The last full length show that I ever watched of the WWF or WWE was the 2002 Royal Rumble, I think it was. Chris Jericho versus The Rock was this the title match. So I think it was 2002. Otherwise, I haven't watched. I'll watch a clip here and there, or a promo or something, when things were going on. I mean, Wrestle Kingdom was nuts because it had AEW and WWE people on the show, not facing each other. Wrestling's really weird these days. Like Pro Wrestling Noah's got a show coming up that they just had Shinsuke Nakamura on one of their shows to face the Great Muta in Muta's last singles match, and then Sting and Darby Allin are coming in for Muta's last overall match. So yeah, but is and that's the sort of thing. I mean, Triple H is a wrestler. He understands wanting, you know, he understands letting people do this stuff and not getting too caught up in the politics. Vince, obviously, because Nakamura himself said when Vince was still there, they turned the match down. So I think, I know people will have moral objections to Vince coming back, but I mean, I don't have much of a, yeah, I don't watch WWE, so I'm just concerned about, these outside dream matches. But I don't like Vince going back just because Vince makes bad wrestling. That's that. Let's see. Zack Sabre Jr. is marvelous. Oh yes, he is. Thank you for the Gathering Players chapter of the referee book. It ignited a new wave of old school D&D in a small town in Germany. Well, yeah, well, thank you. That same advice, a bit updated for being 15 years later from when I originally wrote that in my blog. So it'll be updated toward for reality. But essentially the same thing is going to be in the next version of the ref book too. Because yeah, that's the one thing when people say I can't find any players, and it's like no, no, I don't accept that. Now you may have a bunch of qualifications. Well, I need players who do this and they're available. Okay, then maybe you have trouble. But if you're just saying I can't find players, it's because you're not trying. Now, now if you're hoping to be a player in somebody else's game and you can't find somebody running the game that you want, that's going to be more difficult. But if you're wanting to run a game, you can find players. It's absolutely and the previous edition of the referee book is available for free download from Drive Through RPG. So you can go look up what I say about that there. Make that 2 towns in Germany. Very good. What do you find more difficult, making adventures or settings? Any plans for more setting books? Uh, I like adventures because, I mean, I'm obviously far less productive than I used to be. And I hate that. I mean, I did the 2 short adventures this past summer because I was just coming off of some brain drugs that I needed to come off of. And suddenly my brain was all lit up, and that got done. But then I I hadn't been paying attention to my physical fitness. I gained 2 shirt sizes just from the time that the 9 months I was on the brain drug. And when I got off of it, I realized, oh my God, I've become a slug, and then promptly hurt my legs. So finding players is somewhat harder in OSR because everyone wants to GM. Okay, well, see, I don't. Well, if that's what other people are like, that's what other people are like. I welcome the opportunity to be able to play when it's not always on me to be running the damn thing. Just came in, are LOTFP in legal trouble? They can't patent rules. Okay, a slug. Yes, I am a giant slug these days. But I am seeing a nutritionist, a physical therapist, a psychiatric nurse, a general practitioner, and next month I've got an appointment with a neuropathy specialist, I think it is, trying to deal with my sleep issues because I'm sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night because of constant nightmares. Plus, I'm told I snore very badly, which is not a surprise at my size. So if I get one of those mask and machine things, whatever works. I've I've got no pride or shame when it comes to my health these days. Whatever fucking works and whatever helps. Uh, Glad to hear you're making steps toward mental health. Yes, it's very. Look, I if anyone reads my personal Facebook, and I don't recommend it because I do a lot of my whining there. I mean, just really a lot of oh my life sucks and blah blah blah. Because I don't want to like have like a friend of mine have to deal with that personally. So I just put it out there so anyone that cares or has time to deal with me can. And if not, that's fine. But I'm able to express my frustrations. It's not kept in, but I'm not forcing any person to please listen to my troubles. So, but I think it's very important if you're going to if you're going to complain, if you're going to whine, even if it's just a nobody that can very easily just hide or block your account. It's very important to then do something about it. If it's to the point where you're saying, "Oh, I'm pathetic in this one way or this several ways to the world," you have a duty to yourself, if nothing else, to fucking do something about it. And it's if you can do it yourself, fine. If you need help, get it. That's yeah. Thoughts on the glorious AD&D grapple rules? I don't use them. CPAP machine will change your life. Well, we'll see. If that's what I need, I hope I get it and I hope it works. Uh, if you have to put out a new edition, I think you'll be shocked at the level of support you get. Okay, Now, I assume most of the people that are listening to me ramble in real time are supporters to one degree or another. If you're just here to report on what an asshole I am elsewhere, hello to you too. But a shocking level of support for the stuff I'm already releasing would be wonderful. I mean, it's I realize that people have their opinions on what the jewels of LOTFP have been, and from the response, I guess, that people don't think that anything I've released recently has been one of the jewels, and it's, I'm of course I'm going to have a different opinion on the quality of what we're releasing, but that's it's not entirely up to me what people want, but a shocking level of support for anything, not necessarily a new edition, would make a world of difference. So I guess it's on me to produce something that naturally engenders a shocking level of support. That me just saying, please give me a shocking level of support doesn't exactly cut it. But, for example, I thought that 666, 6 by 6 by 6, the Mahemic missile method, is something that's usable at every freaking table. It's something that takes one spell and just expands it in a million ways. It's like the old Hero System Power Compendium books that I thought were great as far as taking this normal mundane thing and turning it into something vibrant at the table. So I would have thought that thing would just go nuts as far as popularity, because who the hell doesn't use Magic Missile at their table? But that's my thinking. The public, I mean, the book's profitable. It's paying off royalties. It's not a flop or anything, but it's not shocking level of success where, I think it should be. So, know, yeah. Yeah, Map Book is 100% a jewel of the LOTFP catalog. Yeah, that's another one. That got featured on Questing Beast a while back, and then sales shot up of that book. So, I guess a lot of these it's just a matter of getting the right person to let people know things exist. Yeah. So let's see. Now I'm reading the chat, seeing if what else is going on. Let's see. I'd love to see a lot more T-shirts, large and extra large, in the EU store. Yeah, T-shirts. T-shirt sales have really slowed in the past few years. I mean, a lot of the T-shirt stuff was designed to be, convention fodder. Buy €100 worth of stuff, you get a free T-shirt, and conventions are coming back, but the T-shirts haven't been moving, and it's like, oh, do I want to do another big run and have the big bin in there forever? So yeah, in what state do you receive manuscripts like completeness, maps, art, verbosity? I really don't know. Usually, it's just text is what I receive at a time. Uh, Best place to buy in the UK. I The game shop in Aldershot. They buy direct from me, so they would be that'd be a great place to buy from. As far as who else is carrying the stuff, I don't know actually. Um, so a 6 by 6 by 6 is something that one of my players loves. She's freaking when she's able to use this book. Excellent. Uh, yeah, shorts would work too. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, I originally started doing a lot of shirts because I'm thinking, okay, LOTFP is like a metal label, so we'll have like T-shirts as merch. But you go to a show and they're like Napalm Death is selling shorts and socks, and it's just like it's a bit much. It's a bit much. I don't think I'd go much further than shirts. I mean, we did masks, but that was more a giveaway than selling them. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't I don't expect LOTFP to expand into a full clothing line. Patches. That's not a bad idea, but at the same time, and I hate saying this out loud because I know there's one or two LOTFP fans that do this, but I see people at conventions that have the metal vests, that have the patches for all the bands, except they're role playing patches, and it's just I mean, not that anyone should be taking fashion advice or criticism from me, but me having that reaction, seeing it is means I'm probably not really going to be releasing patches myself officially. Uh, Orcs Nest in London did carry LOTFP content, but haven't had anything new since the punchline. Maybe. Well, if they're having trouble getting things through distribution, tell them to get directly in touch with me. I can deal directly with stores. Yeah. Two T-shirts I want right now. Would you like to join Zaxxas and shocking level of support? Okay, shocking level of support might be a little too inside baseball, but I put RPG patches on my Game Master robe. See, you need to post pictures of you in your Game Master robe. Hopefully, that's more wizard-looking robe and less bathrobe looking. Been a fan of LOTFP for years. Thank you for the works that you've created. Well, thank you for your support for years. Nude James T-shirt. Oh, come on. I know I've released some shirts that you wonder who would want to ever wear this outside, but really, a nude James T-shirt. Who would ever wear that outside? And I've only been nude in one video so far, and even then, I was strategically covering myself up. The strict time records video. I mean, usually when I'm in front of that green screen, I'm wearing shorts, people. I'm not actually naked. Sorry to ruin the surprise or to ruin the illusion. Uh, how about a bright green T-shirt with just your head and shoulder? I had somebody just recently, and I forget their name offhand. Maybe they're in the chat. the, they sent me an email saying your t-shirts suck. Now I happen to think the weird fantasy for weird people shirt. I think this is a good basic LOTFP t-shirt. This person says your t-shirts suck. You like heavy metal. You should know what a good t-shirt looks like. Here's some money that I'm just going to give you that I would have bought a shirt with, but they all suck. So here's some money, and it's like I'm both thankful and offended. But I understand. I mean, a lot of the designs are rather basic, and one of the issues is with screen printing. Bands will have cover art created sometimes in certain color palettes that will translate well to screen printing. And I know with digital and but screen printing is still how a lot of merch is made, and the merch costs more depending on how many colored inks and yeah. So when I have t-shirts designed, okay, maybe I'm not the fashion designer for the most discriminating tastes, maybe. Uh, so, will the Ottoman Empire book ever be published? That's not up to me. That's not up to me. I hope so. I haven't talked to Mr. Edwards in ages and ages and ages, and he always seemed to be alternating on whether he was really hyped to get more work on it done or not wanting to, and can't force him. Well, I won't even joke out loud, so won't think I'm serious. But no, I can't force people to write stuff. I would absolutely love to publish it. Brave Nude World, you're nuts. Right. The news releases, I see more or less the same faces. If I send you an adventure I've created, is there any chance it'll be published one day? Um, well, yeah. Well, because I haven't been dealing well with stuff, and there have been resources issues. The with the weird crushers, there's been the line, if you want the writing guidelines, send them in. Well, I haven't been sending the writing guidelines out in response to that, just because I'm trying to deal with what's in hand, and my not working at full capacity is affecting that. But once I am ready for new submissions, everybody, I've stuck all those emails in a folder, and when I'm ready to just deal with completely new stuff and do it in a timely manner and not leave anyone hanging for fucking months, then I will send out the email with the writing guidelines to everyone. uh One referee's handbook at a time, yeah. Is Raphael Chandler still in the LATFP band? Would love some book from him. He's doing his own stuff, but one of the reprints in this upcoming batch that's at the printer is a reprint of No Salvation for Witches, doing a shorter run of that. So hopefully there's still enough people that don't have a copy of that would want one. It's always the risk with reprints. I mean, it hasn't been in print for a couple of years, but there's always the risk that everyone that wanted one already has one, and then there's going to be big pile in the corner that I got nowhere else to put them. I need a copy of NSF2. Well, very good, very good. So let's see. Let's see. Are there any plans on making videos about the inspirations and or GMing tips? Inspirations, yes. I've got in my head. I haven't moved forward to actually doing anything about it yet. There's yeah, talking about the inspirations. I've got in my head an idea of doing a video about the musical inspirations. There's like over 2,000 CDs in the wall back there, movies and literature. The difficulty is going to be with the literature one, how to make that interesting without me just reading people's work. And with the movies and music one, it's going to be difficult how to do it properly without running into all sorts of copyright problems. Uh, what are your thoughts on OGL 1.1? I think it's crap. When this video ends, go back to the beginning because that's what I was talking about at the start. Well, as a longtime gardening member of Raji's Pubs, I'm stoked to see you back, and you are looking and sounding like the old Raji that led us down this nightmare. Looking forward to the new surprises. Well, hopefully I don't let you down. This is I was that January 1st video. I was scared to death because I wrote that text early in December and went back and forth about I just got to fucking bury this because that started when I first saw the latest psychiatric nurse. One of the things she suggested maybe doing is writing letters to people, letters where you're being really honest and saying all the things you want to say, and then don't send them. And I thought, why would you go through all that trouble and not send them? And I get it in some ways, but with the things that had been happening and going on. It was just building up in me, and it was just like, okay, I'm going to write this, I'm going to say it. And then it was just like, can you live with yourself if you bury this? I didn't know, and I didn't know the reception. I mean, January 1st, I made it, the live debut with the live chat going on, and I was really prepared and had it in the distinct realm of possibility that I would watch everybody that's still around tell me to go fuck myself. That was on the table. That was realistic as far as I was concerned. So I was freaking scared to death on that one. So yeah. Let's see. I hope Europe will get better treatment of reprints and shipping costs. Yeah, all the new stuff that's at the printer now, it's at the finished printer, so I'll be selling it off the EU web store. Write some honest letters to the people you hate and then burn them. Okay, I can do that, but what do I do with the letters? Very good. Very good. Is this a Raji live stream? It indeed is. Uh, any idea when you do a video covering the new releases? Uh, typically I've done the video about new releases like just before they go on sale. Um, I mean, for the big release with the 10 new things that came out in uh 2021, I literally went over everything on a live stream, then pressed the button, and they went live for sale right then. Uh, let's see. The, yeah, I just purchased LOTFP the other day. Well, thank you. There's another video we're putting together, and this one has actually had some preliminary work done. Is basically a map of all the LOTFP releases. So I realize if you're just new to this and then you see the blur of all these releases that don't interact or intersect with each other, there's no linear, you need this and this and this and this, and combined with all the out of print stuff, we're doing a video that will graphically like cover what it all is. So yeah. Will there be a buy all, get a free, is that dildo or something? Uh no, no free dildos. Those things, the quality ones actually have some heft to them, and I don't need to be eating that shipping cost. Uh let's see. Okay, the real questions. Varg and Zach collab when? Why don't you ask them about that and let me know what they say? No, yeah, one thing I want to say, because after the video, there were several people that I hope they were joking. I really hope they were joking. They were saying, "Oh, you're going to work with Varg now," and hmm, the thing with him, there's now I don't know the guy personally at all. The closest contact I've had with him is he popped into the comments section of one of my posts on Google Plus way back when. And I don't think I even talked to him there. It was the shit show. But uh, I don't know him personally, but his public persona doesn't seem to ever turn off. There's no like normal person in there, and then all these fucking awful views. So his worldview seems to be in absolutely everything he does. So it's like whew, I dodged that bullet because that being the case, I'm not going to publish anything that is white supremacist. I'm not going to do that. And since he doesn't seem to be able to do anything that doesn't seem to have that baked in, I don't have to worry about Varg sending me a project and me going, "Oh shit, this is so awesome. Oh, it's going to kill my life if I deal with, that's not a problem that I think I'm going to have." So, in this one context, thank goodness he's a fucking lunatic. Um, so yeah. But of course, okay, no. um, will there be any reprints of earlier material that's out of print? I heard there's going to be alternate cover for the rule book. Yeah, it's one of the reprints. We're doing reprints with two alternate covers of the rule book. And then what else are we reprinting? Oh, we're doing No Salvation for Witches. We're doing a hardcover reprint of K Long. And we're doing a hardcover run of Better Than Any Man. And mainly the reprints, it's well, yeah. And the Better Than Any Man reprint is just going to be a straight reprint. I knew at one point I had plans for doing a whole new layout and all new art, but being realistic, that had already been out there for years, and it's like, no, let's just get a small run of this, get a small run of this done, and make it available, and doesn't have to be a spruced up version. But yeah, Better Than Any Man hardcover reprint. That's why you are my King James the Fourth. Okay, now one thing I do want to say. One thing I do want to say is that with the videos I've been releasing, I've been seeing people being very supportive, but this whole thing where you are my king or you are a genius or you're going to lead us here and there. I understand the sentiment. I do it when I'm a fan of someone too, but it's I hope that's just like hyperbole and momentary joy. I hope no one is actually seriously thinking of that, because if you are, I promise you I can only disappoint you. I'm a fuck up that found an outlet through role playing games. That's what I am. I am not a great leader of people. I'm really not. So, you know, please adjust your expectations of me accordingly. You're not the Messiah, you're a very naughty boy. Accurate. True. Quick, everyone hide the idols and shrines. Yes, please hide them. Six, yeah. Uh, yeah. Everything I played from Kowalski Rocks. Are we going to see any work from him? Zarkov. This is going to break your heart. This is going to break your heart because there have been a couple things he's shown me, and one I didn't know what to do with, and the other I just kind of bounced off. So it's not like there's a no chance. Is just creatively he and I just aren't on the same vibe at the moment. How was your Naughty Burger? Actually, we didn't go to Naughty Burger because since I was told the place is like a fast food restaurant, this is my trip downtown earlier. I suggested to the guys that maybe we go to a real restaurant, and they hadn't. They were on a tour of wanting to try all the different hamburgers in town. So I suggested that Stefan's Steakhouse would have excellent burgers since they're a steakhouse. It would be good meat. So that's what we did. Any chance for Broodmother reprint in the future? No reason why not, but not soon because that sold out not all that long ago, and it was selling very slowly up to that point. So we need to give it a few years to get demand back up. It is a hyperbole, Raggy, or Rags. It is a hyperbole, Rags. I just like your dungeons more than most of ones I've read. Thank you. Are those alternate covers in some limited amount? Yes. Just about all the stuff we're printing are going to be the shorter 500 runs that aren't going to the US, that aren't going through distribution. Um, will it be able to get in stores in Poland, for example? That will depend if stores directly contact me. For limited run stuff, I do sell direct to retail. It just doesn't go, the store has to contact me. It doesn't go through the normal retail chain. Uh, let's see. Let's see. What's next? Uh, any plans for setting book? 1400s, 1600s. Uh, See, the problem is, and this place is a mess, and there's probably books that would get me in trouble, so I won't just flash the camera over to my bookshelf with my history books over here. But I have like bookcases, plural, full of history books covering the time period. And my ability to pare it down into something that's game-y, ah, I've given up trying that myself. If someone else wanted to have a go at it, I'd be all for it. So definitely be something I'd want to publish if it was done right. But I don't have it in me to take all this stuff and then try to turn it into one book that I think would be communicating what it needed to communicate. And if I did go through the effort of doing, putting everything in there that I think it should communicate, it wouldn't be useful as a game book. It would just be too much. It would be ridiculous. Um, do you think you'll be issuing reprints of the Weird Magic books? In the future, maybe, probably, it would most likely be like a combined edition, which might be a little awkward with one of the books is in black and white, the other's in color. But again, that's the sort of thing maybe a few years down the line, but not now. Veins of the Earth not coming back. I'm the one guy who never got it. That's not my call. Not my call. Uh, I really like the early modern setting. I've always felt intimidated by the historical detail. Well, the important thing is to not be afraid to just fuck up history. Um, but I would recommend if you're wanting Jesus. I'm about to say if you want some good primers, I'm about to recommend a half dozen 500-page books. Um, but I would recommend Global Crisis: War, Climate Change, and Catastrophe in the 17th Century by Jeffrey Parker. That's a good one. Another good one for the atmosphere. I just muted myself, but I think I'm back now. Yeah. Also, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse by Cunningham and Grell. And then, as a good general history, Fractured Europe 1600 to 1721, edited by Sturley from the Blackwell History of Europe line. So there's three nice meaty books to really get into the time period. Um, let's see here. Any plans in LOTFP Japan anytime? Not no, not currently, but someone wants to pitch something. I dislike Earth as a setting. I live there and spend enough time there. Please keep folks like me in mind. Okay, now understood, but at the same time, if I had some proprietary game setting, like somebody like how do I say this? Like somebody that gets into like official D&D, and I don't even know if they still use the Forgotten Realms as the default setting. But say you're using the Forgotten Realms, you still have to learn what everything is, and then you're at least I would always translate a fictional setting stuff into some real world analog to try to understand what it is. And it's like, I was a huge fan of Conan comics growing up, 70s and 80s stuff. And all of the countries in Hyboria are based on some real world culture. And so it's always this mental translation. So, and you're probably not using whatever. If I had a proprietary setting, you're probably not using that setting anyway. So you're already translating from that setting into whatever setting you're using. So just by using like the real world stuff, that's like a step in the translation you don't have to do. Like there's plenty of stuff. For example, Terror in the Streets is very Paris, but you just change a few details and suddenly he's not Paris anymore. I don't know. That's how I see it. Yeah. Overly detailed settings are great for filling and selling books. Well, shit, I gotta get right on that then. Very little of it ever hits the table at any given time. Well, okay, there's that. Uh, yeah, okay. It's a very cool stream, very much like this form. Good to see I'm not completely wasting my time here. There are 64 people in here right now. 64 people, and only 51 people have given a thumbs up. So there's 13 people in here that are being very stingy. Ah, now there's only 10 difference, but yes, you should be generous with your likes. It doesn't cost you anything. See, we're already up to 59. So yeah, okay. We just got thank you for responding to that. Likes. Uh First time catching you live, Jim, and apologies. So you've only caught me dead before. Ugh, sorry. Apologies if this derails anything, but I've kept wondering your thoughts on GURPS. Any experience? Yes. Late 80s, early 90s, I did a decent amount of GURPS. It was usually low power stuff. GURPS Fantasy, that kind of thing. Did some GURPS Auto Duel because I loved the Car Wars video game. I think that might have been called Auto Duel by Origin Systems. Uh, I thought at higher power levels, like for example, that first edition of GURPS Supers, it was just like this is not going to recreate a Marvel superheroes experience. Uh, yeah, I liked GURPS. It was very good for like down to earth stuff, but I thought my experience was it broke down as the power levels got bigger. For example, combats are deadly enough in GURPS when you just got freaking knives and swords. But then once you get to the high tech stuff with the high damage blasters and everything, it's just like, well, it led to very short gaming sessions. Especially, I was a teenager at the time, so people were wanting action. And if you're setting up a scenario where things are reasonably set up, if you go in guns blazing, people are shooting back at you. And yeah. So GURPS is good for low powered, low tech stuff, better than high power or high tech stuff. My opinion, based on experience in the late 80s and early 90s. Our 2-year LOTFP campaign started with a short GURPS adventure. Was it one of the published ones? Then we switched to Lamentations. That's always the correct thing to do. Always switch to Lamentations. Sorry, I hopped into the stream a bit late. You should have been paying attention at all times just in case I randomly decide to start a stream with no notice. Do better next time. Relatively new to LOTFP, but I adore the vibe. The tone of work feels like a natural fit for my GM style. Happy to be here. Oh, happy to have you here. Uh, Does Terror in the Streets get more material? I was surprised the Paris catacombs weren't mentioned by Kelvin, not Kevin. Well, well, there was the additional material that's in the box set, the Huguenots book, but that's all extraneous, like weird stuff. It's not more Paris. Uh, so yeah, whether there's more material coming out for Kelvin's Paris setting, you'll have to bug Kelvin about that. Howdy James, what metal albums are you jamming to recently? Now what have I got here? My latest arrivals. I was in a bad mood, so I ordered Kraft's Fuck the Universe and Marduk's Fuck Me Jesus. And then by the time they arrived, I wasn't really in that mood anymore. So that's like, let's see here. What are some stuff that's really gotten me going here? As far as death metal, Maceration, it never ends because it never does. Uh, Ferrum's Asunder Erode. It's been good. What else have I got there? Anything interesting or nothing? No, that's about it. Although, Hammers of Misfortune has a new CD out, and it's stuck in customs, so I haven't heard it yet. But Hammers of Misfortune for the 2000 to 2005 or so time period were my favorite band. So yeah, yeah, really looking forward to finally getting that. As in Black Sabbath's Huguenot. Sort of. It's basically the French Huguenots, but changing the spelling to be like a combination of Huguenot and astronaut. Do you know how to speak Finnish? Oh God, no, not really. That's the problem. I have a lot of I have a lot of excuses for not speaking Finnish. No good ones, especially since I've been here for what 17 years now. Uh, it's just the fact when I got here, I was put in an integration school that tried to teach me Finnish and Swedish at the exact same time when I didn't know any other languages than English. I'm 30 years old and they're blasting two languages in my face. It was a Swedish speaking integration school, and the Finnish teacher was very fluent but wasn't a native speaker, so had a different cadence than most people in Finland. But this was in Vasa, which is has a very I think it's, or at least was at the time, the most even split of Finnish and Swedish speakers in the same town. And that was weird. They were like self-segregating. As I understood it, a lot of people that spoke Finnish would prefer going into stores that would greet them in Finnish, and people speaking Swedish would prefer going to stores that greeted them in Swedish, and they would speak English to each other. And there's also the thing that almost everyone in Finland speaks English very well. So when I would get to a point where even if I'm trying to talk, they realize I'm not a native Finnish speaker and I'm having trouble, and they switch to English immediately. And even today, for if I have to get in a taxi or if I have to ask for directions, I apparently can't say Finnish words correctly because nobody ever knows what the hell I'm talking about when I'm trying to say Finnish place names. So it's been very easy to be just a very bad American. So yeah, do you have a favorite non-metal band? Comus. I think Comus would definitely qualify. Mahavishnu Orchestra is pretty cool. Early King Crimson's pretty cool. Uh, prog rock fusion stuff, but Comus is sort of like some weird folk psych band that is spiritually metal anyway. I don't care when that came out. So let's see. Missed the first part. I'm supposed to be at work now. Well, good that you have your priorities straight here. Have you talked to some of the other OSR game creators about the new OGL? I have not really talked to anyone. I've been reading stuff, but yeah, I've not conferred with anyone. Can we post our homebrew stuff to the LOTFP forum? Well, knock yourself out. Let's see. Raji, you're my hero. Hope all is well. If I'm really your hero, you will only end up being disappointed. I think the absolute limit for what you think of me should be favorite game publisher and no further. Actually, nothing less than that either. So, yeah. Let's see. Gotta dip out. Good night. Lots of love from the Northern Wastes. Well, I'm in the Northern Wastes myself. Um, what are your favorite horror films? Oh, this is so awful because I always forget things, and the things that pop into my head are the most cliche. I will say something that is very obscure. I saw this at Night Visions some years back. The director was in attendance, and my first question was, "How the hell did you ever get this financed?" Tonight She Comes is just so messed up, and one of the best examples, I think, of what an LOTFP magic user would look like in the world. Tonight She Comes is just so messed up and so good. Um, Other horror films. The Thing is going to be, the cliche. Evil Dead 2. I think the first Evil Dead is more of a proper horror movie, but the budget is very obvious. The first Nightmare on Elm Street scared the shit out of me as a kid. Um, so it's weird because watch Nightmare on Elm Street these days as an adult, and I know the movie inside and out. I've seen it at least a dozen times, so it doesn't scare me. But the memories of how scared I was when I first saw it still transfers over. So yeah, yeah. Let's see. Considering that Gen Con might look really different this year, are you considering any other American conventions this year? Why is Gen Con going to look really different this year? Have I missed something? How about the Wicker Man? Oh, I have a very special relationship with the Wicker Man. I first saw that it would have had to be in 1994 because my girlfriend at the time was a Wiccan and I didn't know anything about paganism. So she wanted to show me a movie that demonstrated what her beliefs were all about. So she showed me The Wicker Man. That was quite educational. uh, let's see. Good luck with the. Meanwhile, where can I contact you about permission to translate LOTFP to another language, please? I tried the email before with no avail. Um, okay. I'm sorry. I'm like so shit at getting back to email with the emails. I've got this is no bullshit. There are holy fuck, I need to clear stuff out. 1057 emails in my inbox right now. So I'm not very good at getting back to a lot of emails, but I will say I'm wanting to get the ref book finished before I go looking for other, for translated people to publish translated editions. Um, really like the third Nightmare on Elm Street. I very much like that too. That was the first one I saw in the theater, and but well, it's not a horror movie, but it's just like a horror themed adventure movie. So it's got a very different vibe than the first or second movies. Well, the OGL changes affect the new books. You'll have to read back. I talked a bit about how that might affect the rule book, but pretty much nothing else uses the OGL in the game line, so it shouldn't affect anything else. Let's see here. Favorite half-naked green screenist? Well, surely that's a difficult competition to win, but I'll take it. Anime and LOTFP crossover when? Oh God, what anime do I ever? Oh, yes. In the '90s for a while. Oh God, I've gone out of focus here. Yeah, I had a roommate who was full-blooded Japanese, but had been born in the U.S. You know, his parents were born in Japan, and he collected anime laser discs to that's how he kept in touch with his heritage. And a lot of the stuff was but the two things I was very impressed by. I thought Ah My Goddess was very cute, and I liked that very much, and I actually later on bought the DVDs for that. It was just cute. Sorry. And then Yuratsuka Doji. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation. Legend of the Overfiend was so fucked up. I mean, of course, looking at Lamentations of the Flame Princess, of course that would be a thing that I would like. And I was when I would date girls in the '90s after finding out about Legend of the Overfiend, what I would do when I got them over to my place, I would want to test how cool they were. So I was like, "Oh, you want to watch something?" And then pull out Overfiend. My roommate kept the laser discs in the living room with the TV. So it's like, I would gauge their reaction to Legend of the Overfiend because a thing with from Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Chris Jericho and Lance Storm versus the Heavenly Bodies, the one where Chris Jericho completely splits himself open and bleeds all over everybody. I would do that same thing because I didn't want to waste my time with people who are going to end up getting grossed out by me. So I was like, okay, this is shit I'm into. Are you cool or not? But as I got older, it's like, yeah, with my girlfriend, I had to make sure to, I made it a point, like the first movie I watched with her, I wanted to prove that I could be a normal person. So I made sure the first movie to watch with her was The Princess Bride, just to prove that I'm not always a fucking weirdo. Yeah. First time I saw Akira was on VHS. Yeah, yeah, I've seen Akira, but that was so long ago. I remember almost nothing about it. Uh, okay, maybe it was mentioned. I missed it. Did you get any reaction to opening up LOTFP to everyone? What do you mean by opening up LOTFP to everyone? Rephrase the question, please. And does anyone else have questions? There's supposedly 61 people. Well, 60. Well, is that 61 people watching the video or 61 people in chat? We've just gone down to 56. So, whatever. No embargo. Ah, okay. What do you think of the RPG Cult Divinity Lost? I actually haven't taken a close look at it. Uh, I saw some of it at GothCon before it was actually published. I took a look at some of it, but I haven't read the thing, and I'm not really familiar with the old cult RPG. It's like, okay, did you get any reaction to opening up LOTFP to everyone? No embargo. Okay, I understand. I understand what you mean. Surprisingly little negative reaction to that. There have been a few people that, like one person just seemed deranged. Was Yeah, and then a couple other people that are having discussions that I'm pretty much not taking part in. But whatever backlash that's going to happen because of that hasn't happened yet. It's like the people that are still around listening to me are mostly the kind of people who weren't going to freak out about that. Um, so yeah. Let's see. What is your favorite Reverend Bizarre album? Oh, that's tough. So Long Suckers, I think, because they use Dark Forces Teutonic Witch. I mean, that's just a fucking monster. If I was stuck on a desert island and there was only one song I was allowed to listen to forever, it would have to be that one. But Anywhere Out of This World, I mean that is such a transcendental holy shit, and that's also the album that kept me even halfway functional while I was going through my first divorce. That came out just like a couple months before I got kicked out in a strange country, and it was just that album got me through. And I haven't had the guts to try to talk to Albert Witchfinder, but Peter Vicker, I've at least thanked him for his efforts. Uh, I would love to see an LOTFP crossover with Electric Wizard. I don't want to say I'm not a fan of Electric Wizard, but I don't have any of their albums, and I keep feeling like I should. But I saw them live like a long, 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 long time ago, and that's the problem with Doom, and a lot of the stuff that if you're not in the correct mood when you first encounter it, it's gonna bounce off of you. The the album I use is the perfect example of that is Cathedral's Forest of Equilibrium. If I'm not in a down, depressed, I hate my life mood, I cannot listen to the album. It's just too much. It's too depressing. It's just like this is gonna ruin my no, I need to get rid of it. But if I am in that mood, it's like a friend holding me. So maybe, I just assume because enough people that like other things I like love Electric Wizard. I think it was just a wrong mood thing on first contact. So maybe I should, look into trying them again. Uh, let's see. Does LOTFP have any kind of support system for third party content? Uh, to be honest, I know Wizards of the Coast would have me in chains before letting me publish the dungeons I want to make. Yes, there is a third party support thing. Let me make sure I'm telling you correct information. Yeah, if you go to lotfp.com and go to third party, it's a very, very, very loose thing to allow compatibility, to allow a compatibility statement. Which technically there are legal ways where you don't have to follow that, but just if you want to play nice and put the logo on there, just go there and use that. I can't imagine that's so much of a problem. Uh, what are some aesthetic considerations that go into designing really good physical books? A lot of times it's having a good designer that have their own ideas. Other times it's seeing features on other books, and I decide I want to do that. I mean that fuzzy velvety cover for Death Frost Doom. I'd originally encountered that material on the Nightwish biography book. That was like a royal blue color, I thought, but I thought, ooh, I could do something with this. And Yeah, and the Death Frost Doom reprint seemed the perfect time to do that. Yeah. Let's see. With the loss of Kickstarter, now that they're only going to allow 1.1 licensed products, have any effect on LOTFP? Is that true? I mean, I know they're getting a preferential royalty, but I hadn't seen any announcement that they're not going to allow any other, people trying to publish under the first OGL. Um, you've moved beyond crowdsourcing. It's not moved beyond. It's that I've been proven to be completely irresponsible in the crowdfunding arena. And it's just a matter of, okay, I'm shit at that. I've been quite late every time I've tried it, and I'm still late on one thing. Let's not fucking do this anymore. Let's not dig that hole for ourselves again, thinking, well, this time it'll be different. Yeah. I get blinded every time when reading Octoplanetary Blade. Yeah, the idea of doing that. I have a couple of CDs, Digipack CDs, one from the band Mirror, the other from the band Mirror Queen, where they use the shiny cardboard, with printed ink on that. And I thought, I want to use that for a book. But the thing is, that material apparently isn't good to use as normal pages in a book. So what we had to do for Octoplanetary Blade is we took the normal paper stock, bit thick, and it had to be coated with silver foil, left to dry, and then had the stuff printed on it. So imagine that there were like thousands of pages just like hanging to dry in the printer. Just seems rather ridiculous. Let's see here. Then, any opinions on the Elric stories? I have not read them for a long time. I have. What editions do I have? I have the hardcover collections that White Wolf published in the 90s. Those are the editions I have. I know that those aren't the original texts. Those are the ones that have been revised to better be in single collections to reference each other better. Um, I like them very much. Yeah, yeah, I very much like Elric. Um, Personal Appendix N. I mean, it's Lovecraft, Ligotti, Clark Ashton Smith, especially the Averoine stories. I hope I'm saying that right. Um, Clive Barker's Books of Blood is just, I mean, except for the time period, if you read Clive Barker's Books of Blood, you get LOTFP's whole thing. Uh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think those would be the big ones. Oh, Solomon Kane, Robert E. Howard's Solomon Kane stories, because one of the things in mind with designing what LOTFP was going to be is just keeping in mind Solomon Kane is cooler than Conan the Barbarian. That's just a stylistic choice. Uh, yeah. Robert E. Howard is incredible. Indeed, he is. I've got a bunch of his stuff: the Cull stories, Solomon Kane, Bran MacMorn. What is it? The Bloody Crown of the three Conan books. Plus, I've got tons and tons of the collections of the Savage Sword of Conan collections. Yeah. Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe is very good. That's yeah, that's a cool stuff. Also, Bizarro fiction. It's the literary equivalent of trauma films. It's just fucking nuts. I highly recommend Genital Grinder. I don't care how jaded you are, you will absolutely not believe what you are reading in that book. But did you enjoy the Solomon Kane movie? No, that movie was a piece of shit. I mean, what? Yeah, yeah. I mean, what is the point of using Solomon Kane and like a real world setting if you're just doing barbarians taking over the countryside? It's like really 16th and century 60 15th or 16th and 17th century England. I forget exactly when the movie's taking place. And you've got this going. It's like, no, that doesn't feel like a Solomon Kane story. That no, not really. Uh Edgar Allan Poe is good. James with the really hot takes, never one to shy from controversy. So you think Poe is a good writer? I think, well, it depends on the stories because I've got a big volume that's got like all of his writings, including his editorial writing and stuff. And there's a lot that's rough to get through, but that may just be the time difference. But a lot of his stories definitely are entertaining and still hold up. So yes, Edgar Allan Poe is good, and I think I'm weird enough that actually saying something that's commonly understood is still worth pointing out. Yeah. Uh, let's see. Poe was an unrated comedian. Algernon Blackwood. Yes, yes, yes. Oh God. See, the problem is I'm so messy. I'm looking at my bookshelves, but all of the books are being blocked by other books. So the things that are like properly on the shelf and have been in my collection for years are all covered up by the stuff that I've gotten in the past few years. So it's a little hard to do the scan and see anything. But let me see here. Yeah, but yeah, Algernon Blackwood. The short story The Willows. I was just double checking to make sure I wasn't putting my foot right in my mouth and mixing up authors and stories. The Willows is the one short story that you need to read to understand what the weird is, or at least the Lamentations conception of what the weird is. It's spelled out in The Willows. I put quotes from that book inside the box sets from over 10 years ago. I had a friend who went to Finland to hang with Fintroll. She said they have amazing pizza in Finland. Are you trolling me? Are you absolutely trolling me? Finnish pizza is, I mean, it's not all horrible, but I've been to Italy. I've had good pizza. that's that's okay. She's kind of goofy. Well, yeah, if you're gonna hang with Finn Troll, I guess, nice. It's weird. A lot of Finnish musicians I hear about, because I've had experiences where I'm hanging out in Finland or at a place. I'm talking to someone and they say, "Oh, do you know Timo Kotapelto from?" God, see, it's embarrassing. I know there's Finnish people in the chat, and I'm saying Finnish names, and I'm like, I'm screwing that up. Do you know Timo from Stradivarius? It's like, oh yeah, blah blah. And I tell a story about my interactions with other Stradivarius members. It's like, no, no, no. Timo's sitting right over there. Or like, I forget which member of Fin Troll. I was in the same Pizza Hut as him once. Speaking of Finnish pizzas, so it's just so weird. It's so weird that these people that aren't real to most people, they're just like in a band that's like some mythological type person, and it's like, yeah, I've seen him around. That's that's weird. That's really weird. Do you feel that there is a way to apply Poe's unity of effect idea in RPG scenarios? Okay. Now this is where I'm revealed as complete and total fraud because hopefully I can blame it on being tired, but I'm having a hard time recalling the unity of effect off the top of my head. And now I feel like an idiot since that feels like it was a test. Um, hey, I got a question. I'm also the fourth of my name. Do you ever feel undue pressure in life because of your name? No, I don't. I just feel it's cool that I have a regal name. I am James Edward Raggi the Fourth. And for some reason, so many people online when they're talking about me call me the third. And it's like, what? Did you know my dad? What the hell? Although I have to say, I've now outlived my father. Uh, as far as how old I've gotten, I haven't outlived my grandfather yet, but it's just like, well, if you outlive your father, it's like you're kind of winning. It's no pressure there. Uh, wasn't a test. Unity of effect is a pretty obscure topic. I'm a nerd. Okay, fair enough. I'm not a diligent Poe scholar. I've got the big huge book that's got pages like a Bible, and it's the standard stories that I enjoy. I'm a basic Poe bitch. so so they're going LOTFP one. Uh, Grunge, I think James' own modules achieve unity of effect more than most adventures. I'm going to have to look that up after the chat now, and if you people are messing with me, I'm coming after you. How is your relationship with your parents, James? Genuinely curious. My mother looks at some of these things. So this is my father wasn't around much. He and my mother split up when I think I was 4 years old. And then for the following years, actually, he had a great effect on my life, but he wasn't around much. It was like every so often he would take me to the movies. So I saw things like Young Sherlock Holmes and Gremlins with him. But most importantly, one of the most foundational experiences in my life was my father took me when I was 10 years old and my brother when he was 6 to see Return of the Living Dead. And when Linnea Quigley gets up on the grave, on the tombstone and starts dancing naked, and I'm just like, okay. And I look over at my father, and he's like, slinking in his seat because, oh God, he just brought his two young kids to watch this. The movie was great. It scared the shit out of my brother for weeks, and I tortured him with it. "They're coming to get you." We had bunk beds, and I'm talking to him from the bottom, and he's freaking out. And just that cringe reaction from my father, it's like what I hope to do with LOTFP is give people those reactions, freak some people out, just really just make other people want to curl up into a ball and die. And that's so great. And yeah, she wasn't really naked, unfortunately. It was all prosthetics. It wasn't all prosthetics. I know the crotch was prosthetics, it was real boobs, wasn't it? Anyway, and then but I also had a sort of similar experience with my mother because she showed me when I was really way too young to see this sort of thing, Flesh for Frankenstein, also known as Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. I mean, my mother was a horror nut and showed me all sorts of things. That's why I was able to, see a lot of these movies when I was young. But that one had such a sexual element that even I was just like, "Mom, should I be watching this?" so, so things I didn't have the idyllic childhood, but if there's one thing my parents did absolutely right is they were very good at showing me the things they loved, and it wasn't that, oh, you're just a stupid kid who isn't ready for this. The one time I remember not being allowed to watch something was when The Day After showed on television, and that had to do with it supposedly showing what it would really be like. Like these weirdo inappropriate horror movies were fiction, but The Day After was supposedly too real for me to see. So yeah, so I think that's the best thing about my parents. They allowed me to experience a young age all these things that I reflect back to make a living now. And that's sort of, I think that's also why I'm so offended and so angry about the censorship, because it feels like a very personal attack. Like it's gutting everything I've been since I was a child to say, no, you're not allowed to do that. Cut it out. Cut. It's yeah. Yeah. Let's see. If you had a cheap way to make an LOTFP video game, would you consider trying it? Well, if someone wants to license the name from me, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm not going to finance it myself. The video games I play are pretty much, Sim City or Civilization type things. They're not, yeah. Uh, let's see. Um, Imitations of the Flappy. What three films would you recommend that LOTFP noobs watch to get the vibe? See, this is difficult because there's always, in the moment, I only think of certain things, but I would recommend Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, Hellraiser, and Reanimator. How's that? I could see Puppet Combo making. Okay, but, which is a pretty good LOTF meme. You see that there's this thing that I don't know, because people say The Witch, and they say A Field in England is another one that people talk about. But I mean, that's certainly like the right dark vibe, and certainly that it's in the time period, which I think is a where most people make the connection. I didn't so much like those movies. I mean, The Witch especially wasn't at all bad. I'm not saying anything against it, but it's like at the end of it, I was just like, oh, okay, that's nice. Nothing transcendental. But A Field in England, there was something about the way that was done that I bounced off of that one pretty hard. Junji Ito thrown in. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to renew my Netflix subscription because they have a Junji Ito series. Yeah, I have all of the hardcovers that they've done that they've re-released from Junji Ito in the past 10 years. I mean, the last one was, what was it? Black Paradox. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I get all those. Junji Ito. It's the only manga. Yeah, it's the only Japanese comics I read is Junji Ito. A Cure for Wellness. The end of the movie was so weird and good. Yeah, I liked A Cure for Wellness, and yeah, at the end of that movie, I was shocked that they went there. So that, yeah, A Cure for Wellness, I wouldn't say top tier, but definitely fits the vibe. Um, where I am, books with LGBTQIA representation are being removed from libraries. What do you think I should do about that? That's censorship, right? Removing books from libraries, that is. Yes, I completely agree with you. Now, um, yeah, I would. Now, you see, I don't know anything about kids, but I know that as a kid, in elementary schools, high school, in like elementary school, I agree there could be different classes of what books are in those libraries. But even as an elementary school kid, I would get, look in the books in the library. in the school library about astronomy that would have painted representations of the gods and goddesses, and there would be like boobies in there. It'd be like and so it's my thought that for like normal libraries, nothing should be fucking banned, and that's ridiculous. For like high school, I even think that should be the case. I could see why people are concerned with some of the stuff that gets passed around online if those are like in elementary school. But even then, that doesn't mean anything. It's just like a gut reaction I have. But definitely removing things from libraries is 98.6% of the time a real bullshit thing to do. And I'd completely agree with that. Yeah. Uh, Yeah, martyrs. Yeah, the original French martyrs. That was messed up. That was freaking great. That I mean, just in the first couple minutes, you're like, oh, okay, this thing's gonna be fucked. I feel like LOTFP movie suggestions need to be contration. Do you mean contrarian? I would say take the Princess Bride and turn it on its head while dipping it into horror. Well, you see, the princess. I mean, like, for example, we messed with, like, Alice in Wonderland and turned that weirder, or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and turned that weirder, but those already had a darkness baked in. It's like taking something that's, like, wholesome, and, if somebody's gonna remind me of us doing this already, but it's like it's like there's no spirit of darkness already in The Princess Bride, so what are you doing? Trying to trying to do that. I don't know. Contrarian, yeah, he did. Yeah, I would say take something that already has darkness and just crank that up. Because if you're using something just to defeat the spirit of what it is, that I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, being John Malkovich. Yes. 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 That's like an LOTFP movie. That's an LOTFP premise right there. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh Being John Malkovich. Wasn't it is it the, okay, is that the same guy that also did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and even adaptation? That these are all things that I don't know how you would turn them into proper role playing adventures, but they definitely have that weird vibe without being expressly horror. But they're very unsettling. You know, and people still going on about book bannings. Yeah, I would. Yeah, not in favor of book bannings, and that's why when people want to go on about all these woke people want to ban everything. Well, it's like not only them, not only them. It's one of those both sides issues. Uh, they're wanting to ban different books and they have different priorities, but they're still doing the same thing, and it's all shit. So yeah, people. What juicy bits about the referee manual can you let us in on? Oh, okay. There's there one juicy bit is Kelvin wrote a small adventure for the referee book, and then what me and my partner on the ref book do is criticize the shit out of it and say, well, instead of doing this, you could have done that. And we've let Kelvin know we've done this. Wonder if he remembers that we told him that. But yeah, at the time, it's like it seemed very interesting about. And the point was, if you have a published adventure, how do you adapt it to be more to your own style to run it? That that was the lesson in what we were doing in this critique. But after we were done, it's like, Jesus Christ, we just fucking salvaged Kelvin's work. What would happen if you hit someone on the head with the referee book? They would die. Would you still recommend Tower of the Stargazer to new players? Absolutely, yes. So, what other movies flipped your wig, Raji? Like other ones that are so weird they defy categorization and challenged you? That there any that stand out is something that keep coming back to? You see, when I think of movies that challenge me, I mean, I'm thinking like Cannibal Holocaust was fucked up. I remember when I saw I Spit on Your Grave. Oh God, I Spit on Your Grave. I remember I had someone over. It was date night. We're gonna watch. I Spit on Your Grave. This weird grindhousey '70s movie. I was like, yeah, because she was doing it weird like that. But that movie was so messed up. I didn't I couldn't get hard for days. Completely fucked up the date. It's just like, oh my god, that was awful. Um, and then there was a Serbian film. I saw that at Night Visions. I went in completely cold. I didn't know what I was about to see. Oh my god, that was fucked. And the stuff with the kids. I mean, I was trying to detach from what I was seeing on screen. This movie was too well made because I was just hoping it's like, oh, please let me see like the lines where you composited the kid into this, and it's like I wasn't seeing the lines, and I was just like, oh my god, yeah, that completely fucked. Um, What's the most unsettling story you've heard about LOTFP from others? Did anyone share something crazy like a table member going crazy after playing or something wild triggered by playing? Um, I've got the two wildest stories, based on that. One of them, and it may be somebody in the chat. I don't remember who this was. I remember it was this couple that came to the table at one Gen Con, and they had a little kid with them. The kid took one look at what was on the table. It was like, "Oh, not this," and just like got very distressed and unhappy that they were there. So the parents had the kid go. We were near one of the walls. Had the kid just go sit down against one of the walls while they shopped. And I remember them being there for a while, and this kid is just against the wall, just head down, just looking like the most miserable person. I'm like, your kid's like, oh, he's fine. I was like, okay. So obviously, now that's uh, that's that. And then also one playtesting monolith. Um, Playtesting monolith. I remember this was in Sweden. I think it's some old Stockholm convention that doesn't exist anymore. I remember. I don't see. This is. Oh God, I'm talking about like LOTFP work things and like, oh, this was over a decade ago, and I'm like, this is what I've done with my life. Um, yeah, it was dealing with the head of Carter Holmes. Carter Holmes is like, eat my brains and gain my powers and blah blah blah. And so one of the players takes the head and smashes it on the ground. So then and then one of the other players, who I remember was some sort of scientist, like real life, like actual educated person, has their character get down on the ground and start eating the bits of the smashed brain off the ground. And I'm just sitting back thinking, I think this is a success. It's just yeah, yeah. Writing something with liches in it. And the liches use living slaves as phylacteries, so you have to kill the slaves to kill the lich. You hurt the lich, it hurts the slaves. What do you think about that? Um, I think that's not a bad idea for a little bit of player anguish. The two complaints I would have about that is that's using like existing lore of things. Like here's a lich and here's how the phylactery works, and you as the player already know that. You know that's unavoidable. My platonic everything is new and unknown is I guess not entirely realistic to always do, but it's always a note I give. And the other thing is, it's like if the it's like what are the other options that players have for dealing with the situation? If you're forcing them into a situation where they have to do this and there is nothing else they can absolutely do to affect the situation at all, that is kind of like forcing the hand. I would have other options that maybe have their own great drawbacks to it. But then again, I mean, you have I mean, if you get the players in a certain mindset, they're not going to give a shit about killing innocent people if it solves their problem. What if the PCs were the phylacteries? Okay, then what do you do with that? I mean, that's having it, kill yourselves players or the enemy wins. That's simplistic as well. But still, good little twist there. Is it true no more free RPG products from LOTFP? Yeah, yeah, Better Than Any Man was my gateway drug. Yeah, the free RPG Day books were gateway drugs for a lot of people. Even Vaginas Are Magic and Eldritch Cock. It's like they're giving you alternate magic systems that aren't really they're not demonstrating the game as it is. They're delivering completely new products. But people picked up on the vibe and joined in. But I don't know if anyone's had a change of heart, but I usually don't go back hat in hand asking for reconsideration. The last I heard is I was banned from participating, and if they're okay with me participating again, they can contact me. So yeah, that's the thing about free RPG. Uh, a lot of people didn't like the free RPG Day stuff. From Better Than Any Man, the first year I participated, what was it, a 90-page free adventure, just full on, nothing held back, not just a little teaser, just a full on. Here's everything right here for you for free. And I had stories of people having to go save copies out of the dumpster behind the game store because the people running the store took one look at it and went, "No way." So that if free RPG Day would allow me to participate, it's going to be some headache for them because the next thing I would produce for free RPG Day, it's not going to be watered down. It's going to be here is who and what we are as a company and what we produce. And that's that. Giving somebody a watered down version to fit in better, it doesn't make sense because then they're going to buy something and be like, what the hell is this shit? You know? Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Woo, it's nearing midnight here in Finland. Ooh. I've been at this for 2 hours. I logged on thinking, I got a 10-minute message to give the people. I didn't think anyone would end up popping in here and wanting to talk with no notice or anything, but here you all are making sure I don't get anything done. uh, how's your leg pain doing? Right now there's no pain, but things were very stiff. Before I went downtown, My left knee was stiff, and then my Achilles tendons were both sore. That's new. Then I went downtown, went out to eat with a couple friends, and then going from the restaurant back outside where there's snow everywhere and the ground's uneven, my ankles were like locked, so it was hard walking around. So yeah, my legs suck, and that's again a lot of excuses for why I've done to myself what I've done, but in the end, I did it to myself. Nobody held me down, forced me to not move as much as I should, and nobody forced all that food down my throat. And now I'm paying for it. But, I can say, well, I was on this drug and I gained two shirt sizes. Well, yeah, but I was on the large side before any of that happened. So in the end, I need help, and I'm getting help. Medical professionals, four different kinds of medical professional. A fifth one starting next month, and hopefully with the help and the boost, I'm going to be better. So yeah. I suffer from terrible neuropathy. Vitamin D and vitamins save me. I do take vitamins, actually. Here's the This is my mentality. My multivitamin that I take is a cola flavored gummy bear because I figure if I'm gonna take these freaking vitamin pills, they're gonna be fun. I'm gonna start the day off fun. Uh, let's see. Yeah. Uh, let's see. To be honest, are you using random encounters in your games? Well, right now I'm playing in a game and not running a game, but there are random encounters in that game, and I do use. Well, it depends on the situation. I mean, I if I'm using like a dank tomb where it's the players that have to wake things up, then not so much random encounters. If it's a if it's a more open environment where there are other living things moving around or even undead things, then yes, I absolutely use random encounters. So I guess the default I should say yes, unless it doesn't make sense for the environment. It's very random encounters is very important. They're very important just just to reinforce that this is a living environment that your characters are moving in. And it's a pacing issue. If they get bogged down and they're arguing about what to do next, and just well, random encounter check. Oh, well, not this time, but maybe next time. So yeah, yeah. Uh, a city with dwarven railroads in it. The whole goal of the adventure is to railroad the players intentionally, and they get rewarded when they avoid the railroading. Well, that's the kind of thing that how would that actually play out? What does it actually look like in play? Because if you're because I think of it like railroad. I mean, there's lots of things you can do on a railroad. I mean, Murder on the Orient Express takes place on a train. So yeah, it's just because the adventure is literally on a rail doesn't mean the adventure is itself a railroad. Yeah. What game system are you playing in currently? My current game that I'm playing in is like a flail snails thing. I think the more we're playing, we're settling into the LOTFP rule set. But I think at the start, it was one of those everybody makes a character according to their favorite rule set, and then we figure out what the hell to use ad hoc on the spot. Yeah. It's nice to roll dice behind the DM shield that gets the players nervous. I only roll dice behind the shield if it's information that the players shouldn't have as to what the results are. If it's something that they'll know immediately, like a wandering monsters check, Do that in front of the players. Keep yourself honest. If you're doing a random encounters check, that's as much a random thing for you running the game as it is for the players experiencing the game. But if it's a thing like when checking for secret doors, when players are checking for secret doors, that's something you keep hidden because the players shouldn't know whether they just didn't find a secret door or if there is no secret door, ideally. So, yeah. But for the random rolls, make them as transparent as possible and remember the dice are there so that you are participating in the game as well. You're not just this master puppeteer making absolutely everything happen as you want it to when you want it to. The randomness affects you too. Hear me out, Spelljammer, but the ships are powered with music, so spaceships powered with heavy metal Baroque music, avoiding cosmic horrors and hauling coal and ice through space. The engine of every spaceship is a Yoko Ono powering the way through space. Oh, we've got to go repair the engine. No, you don't want to go in there. Am I fuzzy again? Oh, yeah. So, yeah. 2355. Oh, we're up to 105 likes. Very good. Just remember, if you like LOTFP video content, liking and subscribing and commenting, there's a reason why every YouTube moron asks you to do these things because we think they might matter in getting algorithm recommendations and putting our videos out there more. Hit that bell, yeah. Well, does the bell help the algorithm, or is that mainly for your thing? I mean, when I go to YouTube, I click on my subscriptions. So I don't need to be notified. I click my subscriptions and then everything is there in chronological order. And then I find out, oh shit, I didn't watch today's Pro Wrestling Noah and I've just seen all the spoilers for the matches. Fuck. That's my experience. Yeah. Well, that's why I see them. I get sent a notification that they're happening. Okay, well, I never hit the bell. I don't. Yeah, I don't. I guess I don't watch many live streams. God, I keep putting myself out of focus. I have like 5,000 subscriptions. Only some have the bell rung. Well, hopefully it's been worth your time to get notified for this, and hopefully, the success of the commercial suicide video has gotten me real close to being qualified for monetization to where I could be making money off YouTube. But the joke is, even after that happens, all my videos will get demonetized because I swear like a fucking sailor. And I notice even channels that used to swear all the time, like Red Letter Media, they're now beeping a lot of their swears. Drives me nuts. I'm not going to do that. What I need to do is get into a rhythm because we got two more videos in the current series, and then it's like, oh shit, I don't have anything ready to follow it up. As soon as I get the pipeline going to where there's always going to be a video next week, that's when I start the Patreon for all the people that say they I just want to support you somehow, but ostensibly it'll be for the video stuff. Uh, yeah. You also possess wrongthink. Pick a good sound to censor like a sword slashing. There is no good sound to cover that stuff up. I just won't get the money off of YouTube that I might. Just I'm doing this so I can do things that I want to do and show it to people. It doesn't make any sense to me to think, okay, I want to show stuff to the people, and I will dance around dance around the rules. It's like, no, 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 no. LOTFP swear jar for monetization. Yes, but if I'm the one paying into the jar, that's not monetizing very much. See, a lot of Patreon people also release uncensored. You see, I don't edit my own videos. So if I'm directing people to go through and like bleep out all the fucks, that's more money I'm having to spend on, the person's time doing the editing. Use Finnish swear words. Well, they don't come naturally. I mean, I read from scripts, but and sometimes when joking, I'll say things in an unnatural fashion, but it's like this all doesn't work if I'm not at least attempting to be authentic with how I'm talking to y'all. I mean, yes, I said y'all. I use that sometimes. I lived in the South for a good number of years. Um, yeah, it's rough. The internet was supposed to, first cable television was supposed to be the cure for all the stupid rules that broadcast had, and then the internet was supposed to break wide open, all the rules that like broadcast had. Now all the rules are everywhere still again, and it's like, you're living in the South now. Yes, yes, south of Finland, very southern. So yeah, it's exactly midnight. So yeah. If more actually read your books, they'd show up to support. There's paragraphs that are gold and need to be taught to the company that shall not be named. Well, good that you think so. Spread the word. I mean, just got here. Keep up the good work. See, now I'm feeling guilty because it's now midnight here. I've been on live for almost 2.5 hours. I'm thinking I want to relax a little bit before going to bed. Now it's like, oh, now I got to be the dancing monkey for the new person that just showed up. Make sure they have a good live stream experience that seems customized just for them, so I have greater customer retention and So what do you think the single best way for us to support you? Buy shit. I mean, that's yeah, that's it. Buy shit. Um, if start a blog, start a YouTube channel, start a thing where you review not just to review LOTFP stuff, but for whatever, make and just make sure the LOTFP reviews is part of your program. Do something about the things you like. That's another way, but buying the books is that's the big thing. Growing up in the punk scene in the 80s, almost everything I listened to would cause epileptic seizures in this climate. Uh, you see, I got into punk through metal. So my understanding of what punk was like the Sex Pistols and G.G. Allen, right? A lot of nihilism, a lot of provocation, but yeah, but not in a good way. I mean, when I found out that like a lot of Sex Pistols stuff is expressly political. I mean, God save the Queen, but he also had like who was it? Sid Vicious wearing the Nazi shirt just to be an asshole. That was my idea of what punk was. It was, well, like, fuck you. And so I was shocked when I found out that a lot of punk had like real lefty values. I was like, I just thought that was like crass and discharge. I didn't know that was a punk thing. And that, you know GG Allen got me fired from a job I had. Did you expose yourself to kids? And why does my camera keep going out of focus? Because I'm fidgeting, isn't it? GG Allen got me fired from a job I had. Okay, okay, type out the story, share with the class. How did GG Allen get you fired? Bonus points if you're not talking about his music or if it was actually the man that got you fired from a job. Um, I was a bouncer. I refused to work. Well, yes, yeah, that yeah, refuse. No, hmm. You see, I've been at shows where security were just fucking idiots, but I've been to shows where security was really necessary because people were just going fucking nuts. So light shining off my face might be the Well, I got a light just pointed right at me here, but yeah, if I turn that off, then this is darkness. So yeah. Oh well. Billy Milano, SOD, got me the job. Yeah, I had a few conversations with him back in the day. It's I name drop. I used to do a freaking zine. I talk to a lot of people. It's not nothing fucking special, but still, I like name dropping. It's like, whatever life I got now, I also used to have a different one, and it's just by doing name drops like that, it's like that time wasn't completely wasted, was it? No, I met people. Uh, oh boy. Yeah. So, anyone else got any good questions or comments to keep things going? Speak now. Now. Hole in the wall, small venues, and everybody going nuts with crowd only policers are some of the best shows I ever went to. Surprised no one died. Yeah. Yeah. One of the best shows well, one of the fiercest shows because the pits were really fucking just nuts back in the early '90s. I remember there was this one show at the International Ballroom in Atlanta. It was Sepultura, Fear Factory, Fudge Tunnel, and Clutch. And at one point, the pit was so nasty. There was a guy with the spiked armband that was like cutting people. And I was up against the barricade front row and, had the security pit, between the barricade and the stage. And so there's someone back there and people are bleeding all over, but there's also people crowd surfing. And I don't remember if it was at the same time as the pit or if they're all or whatever. But I remember, people, pass to the front crowd surf, but don't realize there's this, 5-foot fall that's at the end of their surf. And so they grab onto anything to break their fall. And someone just grabbed a chunk of my hair and pulled it out. And that I think was the wildest fucking show. That was just crazy. Probably missed it. Can we expect more Kelvin Green in the new releases? Beware, perhaps. Yes, Beware and Magic Eater. Kelvin's got 2 books in the upcoming thing. What was the seed that created LOTFP? Uh, the seed that created LOTFP was loving Dungeons and Dragons, being angry at the Satanic Panic, and that TSR gave into it. I mean, that's the easy answer. Scenic Dunsmouth hardcover. There will not be a Scenic Dunsmouth hardcover. Zarkov has been reprinting his LOTFP stuff as part of his own compendiums in his own Kickstarter. So yeah. Should I let my players keep dying to their own stupidity, or should I help them out? I don't know if they're getting frustrated. Well, for that, we'll take a look to see if you're actually making things too difficult for them. That is it their own stupidity, or are you putting them in a situation where dying is too easy. Because just because there has to be there's a balance there, and it takes a while to figure out where it is of what the difficulty should be, because you want the players to keep going. The cliche is, oh, everybody dies in LOTFP adventures. Well, that's not my experience. So if the players are consistently dying, I mean, if they're just doing the same stupid thing over and over and they're not changing up their tactics, maybe you need new players. But uh, those early Sepultura shows, yeah. But this was like 1994. That Sepultura talked about. I mean, that was that, yeah, it was Chaos AD era. I don't consider that early Sepultura. Actually, that was early Fear Factory, though. They were still just touring on Soul of a New Machine. Any word of advice on doing what you want to do and being genuine in the pursuit of your own creative ideas? Thing like outside pressure to tone down your work. Uh, y- the easiest way to do that is don't make your role playing work an important part of your income. That way, no one can actually do anything to you. When you start depending on it for, side income or even paying your rent, then all that shit really gets to you, because it's a constant, can I compromise on this? Can I compromise on that? What am I going to do? Is this now an existential danger for my life instead of just some annoying shithead online? Yeah. Is there any physical aspects to a book that is hard to get produced? Like there are colors or paper types that are tough to get working right at the printer. Bodily fluids are apparently pretty hard to get the printer to do. Yes, I've requested, having my blood drawn by a professional and have that added to the ink used for a book. That was not allowed. I actually, when we were doing that first printing of Carcosa back in 2011, I actually asked if they had any contacts in like India where we could have the cover bound in human skin. They were not amused. I didn't expect them to say yes, but it was just like I had to ask. Return of the Living Dead again. Where do you get the skeletons from? They come from India. Okay, well, do they have skin? I can check. Uh, yeah, let's see. Here's a question: do you plan to use the iconic character for something other than illustration? I had an idea to do like a graphic novel, but then one of the original three didn't want to participate anymore, and then two of the original three didn't want to participate anymore. And it's kind of like I had storylines in my head for them, and like the new characters we have had since, I don't have ongoing storylines in my head for them. Yeah. Should I ever expect a reprint of Veins of the Earth? Well, that's up to Patrick and Scrap. I mean, whether they'd ever let me do a reprint again, which I would think not, especially with current events, or if they're ever going to do a version. I don't know why they wouldn't do a version themselves, but they're apparently not hot on that from what I hear. I haven't had contact with them in a while. It's all on them. It's their work. They decide what gets done with it. Um, let's see. What would a modern era setting LOTFP look like if you could do it? See, I don't fit in with the modern world. Like I don't like cell phones. I don't understand how all this shit works. I don't I'm very much stuck in a late '90s technology frame of mind. Like I like the internet back in the dial-up days that had everything you need. You had email and you had message boards, and Why do we need the ability to go live with streaming? Why do I need to be a TV studio? I don't know. But even then, it's just plugging it in and hitting the button. I don't know how to use like the good camera equipment and the lights. It's like I don't really know how to use those. I've tried leaving notices in like photography stores in town saying, please help me learn how to use this shit. I'll pay you, and no one gets back to me. I have to have someone else do the editing because I got no fucking clue. So yeah. So what would LOTFP modern look like? Probably the fucking Unabomber. Jesus. Um, not used to seeing Ratchy with clothes on. There's been one video where I'm not wearing clothes. One. Those ones in front of the green screen, I'm wearing shorts. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, well I'm getting tired now, so hopefully this has been a fun live stream for everyone. So I thank you for paying attention. I thank you for everyone in the chat for participating, and I thank you for all you watching later. If you're actually watching all 2.5 hours, don't you have a job or something? So oh, what's up with the ghost girl in the recent vids? Stay tuned. Uh, oh god, my mouse is over there, so I'd have to use the. Oh god, okay. Ah, this hand, yes. End stream. Okay.